Let's get right to the big news. Chris, the Salt River had a golden algal blow up. What's going on?
Well, we got reports on July 4th that folks were seeing fish as early as the afternoon on July 3rd floating down the Salt River near the diversion dam just upstream from Roosevelt Lake. And a couple wildlife managers went out on July 4th and determined that there was a significant fish.
So you had a response the same day?
The same day we got the call, and
Good job.
they had called Operation Game Thief, 1-800-352-0700, and it works. We got folks out there. They immediately responded. They got a hold of me the afternoon of July 4th, and we had a fish kill response team on the morning of July 5th. We got water quality at 3 sites, Eucalyptus, the diversion dam, and upstream at Horseshoe Bend. If you've ever been to the Salt River, you can drive back up into Horseshoe Bend.
There's some great javelina hunting right there.
Yeah.
Big ones.
It's a pretty cool place. They're probably eating a lot of dead fish up there right now. But we did document fish kills for over 20 miles of stream, a river.
Wow.
There. It was a pretty significant fish kill. Our water quality sampling came back and determined that golden algae was present at all 3 sites. And so we are pretty confident in our findings that golden algae, plus we found a level of high conductivity. So those two together, usually what golden algae will do will key into those high levels of conductivity, and then they'll release the toxin to kill fish as they bloom and try to feed, and those dead carcasses will release nitrates and phosphates and other nutrients back into the water that the algae feeds on. So it's a big cycle.
Crazy cycle.
Yeah, and it's a pretty devastating cycle. I mean, we're just some preliminary data. I mean, we counted 317. It's remote access, so we were only able to look at 4 different sites and count fish on one side of the river, and we were able to use that information, and we're estimating somewhere around 13,000 fish were lost.
Wow.
So it was a pretty significant fish kill. However, we do know that at this point it is confined to the Salt River. There is some areas near the confluence of Roosevelt Lake where right there at the confluence we've seen a couple of dead gizzard shad, but just a little ways off of that, fish are still feeding, so it seems to be diluting into the main lake, and therefore we don't speculate that we'll see a kill in the main lake. So
golden alga is a indiscriminate killer of fish. Percentage-wise, as we get down to the confluence of the Roosevelt Lake, any big numbers of largemouth?
Oh, no, actually there wasn't. We only at our 2 sites we documented 2 largemouth. We know in the Salt River above the diversion dam there is we documented only 1 largemouth, and that was right above the diversion dam. But in the main river, really from all the way down from the reservation down to the diversion dam, we've never documented either largemouth or smallmouth in that section of the river.
Great news.
So it was
that's good.
A heavy amount of channel catfish that were lost. I mean, a large amount, probably between that and carp, those were the 2 most abundant fish species in that section of the river.
Are the results from the water quality testing back from the lab?
Well, I mean, we have some immediate results. So we right away we knew that the pH was fine. I think pH was around 8. Our dissolved oxygen was at 99%, so it wasn't an oxygen issue. And that's usually, a lot of reports came in about ash flows and, wallow fire delayed stuff. And basically knowing that the oxygen levels were 99%, we weren't seeing any ash flows. It wasn't any smell of sulfur, that we can pretty much rule that out.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you came down because, anytime this happens, anytime we have a fish kill, there's so many opinions bouncing around out there that you can't keep track of them all. And, the last one I heard, it was bioterrorism, and, it's just like, holy crap.
Right. We were able to document, one of the interesting things, too, is we went into Gleason Flats, which is 20 miles above the uppermost section where we saw a fish kill at Horseshoe Bend. And we did document golden algae up that far, but there was no fish kill associated with it.
Interesting.
So
let's talk just a little bit before the break, and then we'll move on and get back to this. Tell me about the salinity.
Well,
big opinion on that.
Well, salinity, we seem to, and in a lot of states are the same way. Texas and other folks, they see golden alga fish kills associated with high levels of conductivity and salinity. So, I mean, we were seeing about 5 times higher in the Salt River when we looked at our water quality testing, and this has to do with drought. I think is a main player in that. Is that as our water table drops, and we're not getting any runoff and getting any flushing effects, those natural salt springs in the Salt River, which is where it gets its name, continue to dump in the same levels of salt that they do whether we have lots of rain and water versus no water. And that salt level increases, and it's obviously increased to a level that was 5 times higher than what we normally document in that section of the river, which is what the golden algae seems to feed on.
All right, being in a drought situation with the lack of water hitting the salt deposits, when we do get rain, does the additional runoff dump more salt?
No, actually, the additional runoff will dilute. The solution to pollution is dilution.
That's a catch-22.
Yeah. So I mean, the same levels will come in and of salt, and we have more water. I mean, obviously, it will dilute that salt level down, and that's really what we think is probably going to be the key factor in healing this section of the stream is rain. So
more rain, yeah. We definitely need the water. Okay, the big question I have is why now? I mean, we've been in a drought situation, and we've had really low water levels. What are we, 11 years into a 7-year drought?
Right. That's a good question. This is a first for Arizona rivers, first for Arizona streams, exactly. Running water in Arizona, it's a first. We've never documented golden alga in the rivers before. This is, like I said, a first for that, and we don't know when or where it had come in, but we know that we have it now, and that's the key factor in why it is happening now. So we're going to be in a lot of discussions over the next few weeks about future management in that section of the stream and where we go to assist.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. I got on the World Wide Web trying to do some research to see evidence of other river systems blowing up with it, and there's really not a lot out there.
Right.
It's more contained to impounds, reservoirs, lakes, if you will, ponds.
And a lot of that, like I said, is associated with that high salinity, high conductivity. Those, as you go into drought years and you have stagnant water or water that's not moving through, essentially you'll have an increase in those salinities. That's what Texas was seeing.
Yeah.